What's going on YouTube? So three-row family crossovers are one of the hottest segments of vehicles in the US. And because of that, there are more and more offerings in this competitive class. But two of the vehicles widely regarded as among the best in the class also happen to be two of the newest offerings, and siblings. They are of course the Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade, which continue to make waves. Even more so now that they've both been refreshed with new designs and features for 2023. But which of these two is the ultimate in family transportation? That's what we're about to find out. So like always, let's set the stage here by discussing which trim levels we have and their respective prices. Today we have the absolutely fully loaded models. So for the Hyundai Palisade, that would be the calligraphy trim. There are no significant options that can be added to that, so the total after destination rings in at $52,310. Now moving to the Telluride, its top model is known as the SX Prestige. But we also have the new for 2023 X Pro Edition on top of that. This does push the price higher than it's ever been before, with an S-tested price of $54,615 after destination. Yes, that does make both of them fairly pricey, but as you'll see throughout this comparison, they are pushing against and sometimes even exceeding the luxury you find in full-blown luxury SUVs. But let's get into the comparison by starting things off with the exteriors. For those of you who don't already know, these two are related to each other and share a lot mechanically, but as far as the visuals, you really wouldn't know they're related. For 2023, both brands worked on refining their already successful designs, with small but noteworthy changes. The Palisade probably made the bigger update by increasing the size of its grille to dominate the front. And both of them have modified the headlights. They are distinct-looking full LED units with a separated waterfall design on the Palisade, and a boxy look on the Telluride, but without the amber daytime running lights for 2023. Only the Telluride includes fog lamps. Checking out the sides, they are pretty much the same length, but the wheels are smaller 18 inches on the Telluride versus 20s on the Palisade. That does have a reason, which we will talk about in just a second. Now around back, this is the only area where you can almost see some relation to each other, since they have similar looking vertical LED taillights, their names spelled out across the back, and dual exhausts that are mounted on the right side. As we move beyond the styling, we get back to differences, like the fact that both mirrors are heated with blind spot monitoring, but only the Telluride's power fold and only the Palisades have auto dimming. Now in addition to the blind spot monitoring systems, both Hyundai and Kia give you their entire suites of safety systems as standard equipment. That means they have automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, auto high beam headlights, and highway drive assist. One cool Hyundai advantage is the smart parking system, which can pull into and out of tight parking spots unmanned. They both also come equipped with the longest warranty in the business, 5-year 60,000 mile basic and 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain warranties. However, only Hyundai includes 3 years of complimentary maintenance. Now when it comes to towing, the X Pro Telluride has a 500-pound advantage at 5,500 pounds. And now would also be a good time to circle back and acknowledge that the X Pro does add some off-road chops above what is offered on the Palisade, such as increased ground clearance, better approach and departure angles, and all-terrain tires. Alright, that's it for the exteriors. So now let's check out the award-winning cabins before we take them out for a test drive. So walking up to the vehicles, both models have smart entry systems, remote start, and available phone as key. And first opening up the doors, again you'll find nothing similar about these two designs. They immediately strike you as very upscale looking, in ways that are uncharacteristic of most mainstream family SUVs. Starting with the seats, both are covered in high-end Nappa leather with elaborate stitching details. They are also heated, ventilated, 14-way power adjusting, and have memory on board. A new exclusive feature to the Palisade this year is power massage. Now once fully inside the cabins, you can begin to take a look at just how luxurious they are. The Telluride uses a mixture of stitched soft-touch plastic, very realistic faux wood trim, and then covers the center console and the signature handlebars in Napa leather. Likewise, the Palisade also has a soft-touch upper dash, nice trim, and a leather console. But what puts it over the edge is that it has additional quilted leather on the door trim, as well as real metal speaker grills. After startup, you'll find one of the most noteworthy changes for 2023. Previously, only Palisade had full digital gauges, but this year Telluride fights back and adds them as part of a new dual-screen setup. Both measure in at 12.3 inches, change design with the drive modes, and have blind spot camera systems. They both also have head-up displays. Coming back to the steering wheels, both are leather-wrapped, heated, and manual adjusting. Next up, we have the very important aspect of storage, where Hyundai is probably the best in the class. That's certainly not to say that the Kia is bad, since it still has ample amounts of storage. But the Palisade has both a giant center console and another huge bin in front of that, which can be reconfigured with or without cup holders. Additionally, it has a center pass-through, which the Kia does not. That center pass-through is made possible by the Hyundai's use of an electronic shifter. If you like traditional or push-button shifters is a matter of personal preference, but I will point out the paddle shifters on the Hyundai if that matters to you. But regardless of which model you choose, you will still get an excellent 360-degree camera system, which has been updated this year to have a 3D mode. Moving up the dash, we have 3-zone automatic climate control systems, before we come to the volume knobs for the audio systems. Let's go ahead and take a sound sample. Despite the different speaker counts, they both sound good and are essentially the same. And now that brings us to the infotainment systems. Both are rocking 12.3-inch displays to replace last year's 10.25-inch ones. And, besides for some graphics looking different, the software is the same on both. That means they have built-in navigation, as well as wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And finally, the last things to mention up front are that both of them have new smart rear camera mirrors with HomeLink, premium Alcantara headliners, and dual panel panoramic sunroofs. Alright, now moving on to the rear areas, as you would expect, they do share identical dimensions, and both are larger than some of the main rivals, such as Highlander and Pilot for reference. Both also have luxury and amenities to satisfy even the pickiest people, including sunshades, rear climate controls, 2 charging USB ports, and a household outlet. But the most bougie feature remains the heated and ventilated captain's chairs, which are not often found even in luxury SUVs. Moving on to the third row of seats, both crossovers have a very convenient one-touch folding and sliding mechanism to give you a nice pathway. And once in the third row, they are once again the same as far as measurements. They also share dedicated vents and charging USB ports, but only Palisade has class-exclusive third row heated seats. Now moving around to the rear, both have smart opening tailgates. And once they open up, you'll find very large cargo areas. Once again, they are pretty much evenly matched, besides for a 3 cubic foot Telluride advantage for the area behind the third row. That size disadvantage is probably due to the fact that the Hyundai's third row is power folding, however. Well, that's it for the interiors, but now let's see if one of them has a big advantage out on the road. As should be clear at this point, these two are mostly dissimilar, but they share a lot more in the areas you cannot see. Powertrain-wise, they are identical, with the same 3.8-liter V6 engine, rated at 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. And there we are, 60 miles per hour in this 2023 Telluride. So, we had a bunch of updates to the exterior. We have quite a few updates to the interior. Do we have anything new with the powertrain situation? The answer is going to be no. The mechanical bits are the same this year, so our engine is still a 3.8-liter V6 engine, naturally aspirated across all the models, 291 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. So those are healthy numbers for this segment.
And there is 60 miles an hour in the Palisade. Now, granted, that was very much up a hill, but we are in Asheville, North Carolina. We don't have a super familiar route for us here, so we're going to do the best we can to get you guys everything. That was a good acceleration for you all. As you can see, even with the throttle absolutely matted to the floor, this Palisade still has a very refined note to it, and I think that's really the biggest benefit.
They also have the same 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive system.
Now, as far as other aspects of the powertrain that you might have noticed during that acceleration, the 8-speed automatic transmission is something worth noting. That, of course, has not changed for 2023, so we have the traditional 8-speed. It's a very good transmission. As you can see, I'll kick it down there. It's very fast responding to...
Yeah, power definitely comes on nice and strong. Another smooth characteristic of the powertrain is the 8-speed automatic transmission. That also carries on for 2023. It's a good transmission. This is a really nice and smooth one. Acceleration, while not the best, is still class competitive. As you would expect, the driving dynamics are also very similar, and both are excellent. They have precise and light but nicely weighted steering setups. Maneuverability is also quite good compared to many of the other rivals. Ride quality is one of the only places where you can tell a bit of difference, as it feels like the Palisade is a few percent softer and the Telluride a few percent tighter in terms of control. But again, nothing big.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to just discuss with this Palisade is how comfortable it is while we're sitting here on the highway. That's the first thing that struck me when I hopped in this model this morning is just, oh my goodness, this feels extremely luxurious. We don't have an air suspension or anything crazy like that, but the suspension is absolutely awesome. It soaks up the bumps really well. This is actually quite a rough interstate road, and it is just doing a great job. The seats are incredibly comfortable. I'm even getting a massage right now. I'm getting a whole body massage in a Palisade. Yes, I am, and I am not sad about it whatsoever. Yeah. But guys, we have been a little quiet about one of the major elements about this Telluride, the ride quality. So I want to hop into that and, point out some really insightful comments here. So, of course, we do have the X Pro, which is the off-road focused Telluride. So we have the smaller 18-inch wheels, but we do have like those off-roady tires. And as far as the ride quality goes, we've just been taking a few minutes to soak it up here and see how it compares to the rivals. It does a really good job. I have to say, this X Pro is really not going to reduce your ride quality down. It's not going to be a rough riding vehicle. It actually does a fantastic job.
Additionally, they are very quiet inside of the cabins, and score within the margin of error for each. Now, even though the road surface is a little beat up, we're basically going about 55 miles an
slow
hour,
it down.
so we'll
Just,
go ahead and do the
there
sound
we go.
level reading. All right, 54.9. I think that is.
Wow. Official Car Confections sound level reading, 54.5 decibels. Really, really impressive sound level. I actually do believe that's, I don't know if I'm remembering this right or not, but I think that's exactly what the previous Tellurides tested at, so I don't think Kia really changed much when it comes to sound deadening in the Telluride. You can expect a very quiet cabin. That's, of course, going to continue this year.
And finally, finishing this part up, they have the same fuel economy rating of 21 combined. So let's circle back to value and the price difference between the two, which is $2,305. According to our rules, the Palisade will get a point for that difference. But I do want to point out that if you don't need the extra off-road bits in the X-Pro package, a regular SX Prestige can be had for $50,390, which is basically identical to the Calligraphy Palisade. So there you have it. These two closely matched siblings fought it out every step of the way. Like I said at the beginning, they are undoubtedly two of the top products in the class. And for most people, it'll probably come down to personal preference on styling above the other things that are mostly the same. Like we tell people when they ask, you really can't go wrong with this duo. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below which one you're picking and why. While you're in the comments, please also go ahead and click the subscribe button so you can help us keep making helpful and entertaining comparisons, car reviews, and more. Take care and join us again as we sample the latest automotive delicacies.